All right, as we were transitioning over to our notes, a couple things I want to remind you of.
What? No, I don't.
You want that one?
Yeah, I want this one.
Friday, our first Ford ACE lesson was due. The definition of a tire, hopefully we were able to get that in. I believe when I graded that and entered it into Skyward on Saturday, most people had that completed. Okay, which is good.
I actually did this one.
Starting today, and due this Friday is the 4 days parts of a tire.
And that's if
lesson.
days worked.
Oh.
Okay, it should, keep in mind they do go through periodic maintenance where they shut things down just to update their database. Apparently it is currently not up and running 4 days, but this is probably something you're going to be doing in a study hall and or after school anyways. So you could probably be looking at that later tonight or tomorrow, okay? Just throwing that out there. If you were not able to go into Google Classroom and fill out the Google form for the definition of a tire, you can still do that. But granted, because it's past the due date, you're going to lose 10%. But the good news is 90% is still an A-, which is a ridiculously still a good score instead of a 0. So I still want to encourage you, if you missed that due date, still get it done, still submit it. I'll still go back in and grade it for you and get those points to you. Okay? But just please keep in mind that at some point in time this semester, I'm going to say this is a full stop. I'm no longer going to be accepting any of these particular 4 days assignments. At that point in time, you won't be able to do it. So don't fall behind. Hi, Tim.
So is it just like the quizzes that are getting graded, or the actual 4 days?
You can't see the 4 days.
I can't see the 4 days, so whatever you submit on that quiz, that's what's graded.
Okay.
Yep.
The quiz is the only thing that.
And a reminder that Google form can only be taken once and there's no reassessments. So make sure that when you are ready to take that quiz, you are prepared and ready to go. Okay? So there's that.
How many questions are on it?
Usually 5. Sometimes 10.
Well, what this week?
Because there's four.
I can't remember.
There's 4 lessons.
Did you get a
Yes, but we're only doing 1 lesson at a time.
No, for that one that you assigned, there's 4 lessons for it.
Hey.
There's 5 lessons in the tire certificate.
Another one?
That's how that works. Hi Hunter, what's up?
Can I go to the back?
Did you fill out a pass?
I did not yet.
There you go. Okay. Also, a reminder on Wednesday.
Monday.
We have Tim Zock coming in from UTI, so that'll be a nice little break. Because I'm hoping to be done by the notes by tomorrow. We'll have him come and do a presentation, and Thursday we'll pick up on another presentation.
Can we talk to him about V-Lock tires?
You can if you'd like. All right. With that being said,
Can I ask him his home address?
you can ask him any question
Can
you
I have
want.
his car key?
He is not responsible or obligated to answer any questions.
Is he obligated to give me his car keys?
No.
I think he should.
All right. Fresh page on your notebooks.
Test drive.
Yeah.
Today's date is the
27.
27th. Thank you.
Yeah.
We don't need an essential question because you already wrote that. Let's continue on.
Get your tootsie in your chest.
Now, I can't remember exactly how far we got on this. I'm assuming that we ended on this slide.
I know we.
Tire manufacturing date, yes?
Because then there's like the older dates, then they have so many. Like the 1980s or so that they cut in half, basically.
We already learned it.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a good thing for review.
Right now, before you're done reviewing.
And then 40's the week of the year. Or
Yep.
The week that it was, and
And
then the
88 or 98.
And then then the 8 is like
Right away.
the decade.
Yes, year in the decade. So that's
They
weeks.
knew I was coming in.
That's year in the decade. Specifically for a tire that's before year 2000. Again, just want to emphasize this. There's probably not going to be a whole lot of tires that you're going to encounter. They're going to have just a 3-digit code. Now, I'm going to tell you this right off the bat.
They don't look good.
They're not going to look good. Because of our shop cars being mostly 90s, so we got a 94 Pro, 98 Protege, and 99 F-150.
We've never changed the tires.
There's probably a good likelihood that you're going to encounter in the lab a 3-digit number.
We've never changed the tires.
Okay. No, why? I don't have money for that. We don't need them. We don't drive them on the road.
That's cool.
So remember, first two is the week. Last one is the year of that decade. So if it's a 1990 F-150, right, and this number is a 4, it's most likely 1994. Okay. If it's a 94 Pro, but it's an 8, it's most likely 1988.
1988 what? Pro?
No, it's a 94 Pro,
Yeah.
Hey,
but if it's
Yeah,
an
but
8
yeah,
on
I
the
got
tire, you just work
Gretzky.
yourself back. Yeah,
Get your Gucci in the chair.
sure,
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So if I gave you like 10K.
sure.
are you okay?
I'll even let you know which one you want. for 10K.
1400.
Let him teach.
Maybe.
Tight shit.
Can you shut up? All right. Now at this point in time, we're going to kind of go into a little bit of a strange territory. Okay. So we've talked about a lot about tires, right? And okay, here's how you can identify the tire. Here's the measurements on the tire. This is what it's rated for. This is the year of the tire. Now, tire manufacturers, again, are making tires for various different purposes. So they're going to try to design that tire to fit within certain specifications and parameters of what they want to achieve out of that tire. Part of the tire design is the treads on the tire.
Oh, we're doing.
Okay? And the treads on the tire, if you're not aware, are basically like the bottom of your shoe. Right? If you look at the bottom of your shoe, everybody's shoe has different designs on it. Right? And those designs on the bottom of your shoe are designed kind of like treads on the tire in that when I walk,
Grip.
right, I'm going to have the grip to be able to go. If I am playing basketball, I want basketball shoes specifically designed so I can go up and down the court. I can cut quick, right? And I'm not going to slip and trip while I'm on the court. When I'm playing football, right, I'm not going to use tennis shoes because they're going to slip on the grass. That's probably damp or frozen.
I use my air.
So I'm going to use cleats. Cleats have larger, harder treads,
It's almost like
so that way you can dig into the ground to push off of it.
so like swamp tires then.
Yeah, basically, right? Now, here's the fun part. Tire manufacturers are not necessarily limited to being on one surface. Again, they're trying to design the tire to meet all conditions as best as it possibly can.
All terrain tires.
Okay. However, there are sometimes you would purchase a specific tire for a specific condition,
Track.
right? For instance, if I live in Wisconsin, right, and it's starting to become winter out, I might have a set of winter tires. Those tires are designed to have a different synthetic rubber compound that is more flexible, right? That can withstand the cold, but then also had the tread design in a way that can remove snow and slush much easier than you would have for, like, let's say a summer or an all-weather or all-season tire, okay? To give you better grip. Part of those designs of the treads are going to come in one of 3 different categories, okay? You're going to want to write the names of these categories down. All right, welcome back. Okay, the first tire design, which is not on the board, but it's the most common type, is called symmetrical tire. Okay? Symmetric, it's got 2 M's, yeah. Symmetrical. Symmetrical. Again, that's the most common type. If I were to go out and buy an all-season tire, it's most likely going to be a symmetrical tire. What does that mean? Well, we got to go to art class for a second and think about symmetry. What's symmetry?
Don't know.
You fold it in half. It's the same.
You fold it in half, it's the same on both sides. Your face is symmetrical, right? Your left side's the same as your right side. If your face is not symmetrical, it's probably because you were probably dropped as a child, or maybe you got into some kind of accident,
I got dropped.
or you're a Batman villain, like Two-Face.
Gerlach.
What?
I don't know. Every
Two-Face.
time I hear Gerlach, I think of
Batman villain?
I don't know, kind of.
Oh. Okay.
Good to know.
He does look like the Riddler. Just gonna say.
I know.
Stop.
Anyways, symmetrical. Left side's the same as the right side. A second classification for our tread design is asymmetrical. Asymmetrical or asymmetric.
That's the second.
That's the second type. So the first type is symmetrical. The left side or the inside of the tread is the same as the outside of the tread. Same pattern, right? Asymmetrical or asymmetric tires means that the inside of the tread is of a different design than the outside of the tread. Again, think Batman Two-Face. If you know Batman and Two-Face, right? One side got kind of like destroyed.
Yeah.
Well, the other side is like normal, quote unquote.
Oh.
Okay, that's asymmetric. Two-Face's face is not symmetrical; it's asymmetrical.
So inside's different than outside.
Yes, the tread pattern is of a different design than the outside of the tread pattern. Okay. Now, how can you identify an asymmetrical tire when comparing it to a symmetrical tire? Okay, well, in most cases, actually in every case, the asymmetrical tire is going to tell you which side has to be on the outside. Okay, it's literally going to say it, outer or outside. Okay, now, for us as auto techs that are just rotating tires, this doesn't really mean anything. Okay, you can identify it, yep, it's asymmetrical. But when it comes to rotating the tires, it doesn't change anything. The only time that we have to really pay attention to this is when we're installing the tire onto the wheel.
So one side has to go on the outside.
Because one side has to be on the outside, one has to be on the inside. Okay? Now again, I'm not teaching you how to install tires on wheels this year. That's an Auto 2 thing. Okay? But you are going to be asked in the lab to identify if it's a symmetrical tire or an asymmetrical tire. All you have to do is look on the outside of the tire. If you see it say outer or outside, you know it's asymmetrical. Another way that you can identify if it's asymmetrical or symmetrical is just to look at the tread. If the inside looks the same, like it would be flipped, like folding a piece of paper, if it's the same, symmetrical. If one side's a different design than the outside, asymmetrical. Okay? Nothing, it's not overly complicated. It's just a little observation.
Nah.
Okay?
We learn about the transmission.
We're not learning about the transmission.
That says what?
Okay, the third and final design consideration for our treads and our tire is a directional tire. Okay, a directional tire. This means that the treads are designed to rotate in a particular direction. Okay, again, on the sidewall of the tire, it will actually indicate this tire must rotate in this direction.
That's very dark.
Or this tire must rotate in this direction. Okay? Now, I will tell you this. If you have a directional tire on the vehicle, that does change how we rotate the tires. Okay? Now we have kind of a default tire rotation that I'm going to teach you here probably tomorrow. But if we have directional tires, that has to get put aside and we have to follow the rotation specifically for the directional tires. Okay? So it's important that you are able to identify if it's symmetrical, asymmetrical, or directional. Yes?
What happens in reverse?
So if you were to put a directional tire on in a different pattern so it runs backwards, right? The treads are not going to be designed to run that way, which means it's not going to be able to do what it claims to do. for instance, most winter tires are directional tires. Most rain tires are directional tires.
So you can, like, just go in reverse. It's just,
Oh,
it's not gonna hurt
when
it.
when you go in reverse, yeah, you're not gonna hurt the tire that much.
Okay.
This is under normal operations. Yes.
So what's the all-terrain tire? The all-terrain is like the second one?
All-terrain tires is just kind of, it could be any one of those.
Yeah.
Okay, but the thing is like the treads are designed to be able to not only be run on like blacktop, but also gravel or dirt. So it's probably gonna have more knobby tires or more knobs part of it, kind of like cleats,
Mhm.
but then also have a section that's probably gonna be able to be good on concrete.
So wait. So like which one of those on there would be like?
All-terrain,
Yeah.
it could be any one of them.
Oh, alright.
Again, most likely probably symmetrical.
Yeah.
Okay. Winter tires, rain tires are typically more directional. Asymmetric tires are probably going to be. I can't really put it in a classification, but usually the inside of the tire is like rain tires, and then the outside of the tire is more like your all season, it's just like normal tread. So that way it's good in the rain, but it also is good when it's dry out.
It's like a track car almost. Or like it's kind of
Kind of. And normally those would be even more specified. Okay. As part of a vehicle, you very well could have a spare tire. Now obviously, you have 4 wheels. Under normal circumstances, you're driving around, you're gonna be good. However, if you run over a nail, or if you damage your tire somehow, right? Oh, I slipped on ice and I hit the curb with my rim, now all of a sudden I'm deflating the tire. Okay? Sometimes your vehicle is going to be equipped with a spare tire, which means you can take that out and replace the tire that's damaged to be able to allow you to get to a safe place to get the tire, your original tire repaired.
Nah, you just ride on the rim.
Okay? Don't ride on the rim. Unless you
Let's
like
do
spend
ride
money.
on the roof.
Okay?
I ride on the roof.
Here's the problem with these.
Let
Let me put it this way. Most spare tires are much smaller in size than their typical full-size tire.
Aren't they like thinner too?
Yes, they're just generally smaller.
Why not put a replacement for the one that's in the car?
We'll talk about that. Okay? So smaller, they take up less space. Typically, these are found in the trunk, underneath the false floor.
Or on the tube?
Okay, and inside that space, not only you're going to have a spare tire, but you're also going to have the equipment, like a jack and a wrench, to be able to lift the vehicle up just enough, loosen up the lug nuts, obviously, take the old tire off, put the spare tire on, and get that tight enough to be able to go down the road safely. Okay. And again, these tires are not meant to be driven on for lengthy periods of time. Just straight up. And it's one of my biggest pet peeves is to watch someone driving around Fond du Lac for 3 or 4 months on their spare tire. Like, hey, I saw that car 3 weeks ago, it's still on the spare. That is not good.
I see some old dude on the highway with his spare.
Yeah. These are also not meant to be driven on the highways typically. Okay?
Usually to like the repair shop.
It's literally, I'm on the side of the road, I'm stuck, I need to get to where I'm going, okay, or get off the highway, so then that way I can get my original tire repaired and back on, right? That's just straight up what we're trying to do with this. Because it's smaller, it's going to be running at much higher RPM. These also are going to contain much higher PSI because it's smaller. And the treads on these are not great. Okay, you do not be wanting to run a spare tire when it's snow and slushy out. You're not going to have much grip. Okay? So, just keep that in mind. For a spare tire. Now again, most times these are neglected because people forget they have them, or they just don't think about it until they need it. The problem is, again, 60 psi is the inflation pressure on these. How often do people check the inflation on these?
Never.
Like 0, right? But all of a sudden you pull off to the side of the road, hey, I gotta put a spare tire on. You take the spare tire out, you put it on, you lower the car down, it's flat.
Then that's when you're right to rim on.
Yeah, at that point in time,
You're right.
no. You're literally probably calling up your insurance company and going, hey, do I have roadside assistance on my policy? 99% of people do, and they don't realize it. You're paying money for that. Hey, can you please send a tow truck, please, to come get me?
And that's money right there.
No. They usually will cover that cost.
Oh.
Okay, now obviously if you're doing that every other week, there's a limitation on that. But listen, I would highly encourage you, go talk to mom or dad, whoever has the policy in their name. Ask them, do we have roadside assistance set up through our insurance company?
Don't worry.
They might not even know. I'll guarantee you if they look, they probably do. And I would have that number in my wallet or in the car. So if I'm in an emergency and I can't get out of the vehicle to put a spare tire on, I'm calling that number and letting someone else do it.
Well, my dad knows. He blew up his engine 3 times on the highway.
Right? That happens. It happens.
times.
Now,
Every new car.
we had a question
My
about
dad has a cruise.
some vehicles actually have a full-size spare. They don't have one of the small little donut ones. Okay, they have a normal size tire that they can put on. It would work like a normal tire. That you can obviously leave on for as long as you want.
Is that like a Ford?
That's like the Ford, right? The Ford has a full-size spare. Most pickup trucks are going to have a full-size spare because you throw a donut on that, it's not going to work.
I was gonna say, it's-
You're going to be doing one of these things driving around because of how different
Saudi
size it
Arabia.
is.
Hell yeah, that's how
Okay.
you
You
do
just
it.
got some babes on it.
That's how you do it, guys.
Now, I will tell you this. If you have a full-size spare on your vehicle, sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes the manufacturer of that vehicle actually wants you to incorporate that spare tire as part of your rotation service on the vehicle. So you're taking one tire, actually removing it from service, that becomes your new spare. You take the current spare and that becomes your tire. That way you have even wear on all 5 of your tires,
How often?
even though you only have 4
Is
of
that
them.
the- is that the same way for like changing the tire too? Because if you're rotating them,
Well, we'll get into why we rotate them.
I mean not rotating like after you like change the tire out.
Oh, yeah. If you're going to, let's say you're going to need to buy 1 new tire, at minimum, you get 2.
Oh.
Ideally, you get all 4, right?
What if I only get one because I'm on the budget?
If you only get 1 because you're on the budget, then that's what you can afford, but you need to understand that that tire is going to wear out much faster
Well, all 3 are like flat.
because the other 3 are already worn down, and this one's now going to be doing more work than the other ones. It's kind of like being in a group in auto class, where you're like, hey, 3 of my group members are working much harder than me. I'm just going to sit back and do nothing, and then
Yeah, you do.
right?
Like,
Or you get 3 people that don't do anything, and you're the only one doing all the work.
Like, what if
It's gonna wear you out
if
faster.
That one tire,
Yeah,
it has
they all
grip,
come
and all the rest don't.
Right, because it's working harder now because it has more
Alright, bro,
grip.
you're one of the ones that don't.
Anyways, we're not calling anybody out.
You're literally the worst person to be talking.
No.
Working at Quick Trip for how long? You still broke.
Stop.
What? How does that have?
Here's my question to you.
That's pretty wild.
And you asked me this question. I want to ask it back to you. Why don't all vehicles then have a full-size spare instead of just one of those little donuts?
They can't fit.
Don't.
Is it 'cause they're
Yeah,
all
don't.
They
don't
They
fit.
don't.
Because they're cheap.
They don't fit.
They
I was gonna
cheap.
say the truck. Is it like in the middle to like the frame? The truck?
Yeah, it's underneath though. It's up and out of the way, but it's underneath.
Yeah, I made Timmy cry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Tom.
Full-size spare is not going to fit in your Prius probably, or it's going to take up more room than we want to. What's the other reason? It has to do with something that has nothing to do with being a spare tire.
What
They
cost?
want you to buy more tires.
No. What are all vehicles trying to do better at?
Transportation or like
Gas
economy?
Gas mileage. If I have a full-size spare, what does that add to my
Weight.
vehicle?
Weight.
Weight.
I was
Answer
thinking
that
that,
way.
but
With-
Yeah,
it's
300-pound guy.
like it's like if you just have another person, not even another full-size person in the car all the time.
Right.
It's
They don't-
not
they don't
that.
care.
It's not
They don't
that
care.
much
It's
more
like
weight
one
compared to the back. It's like
Correct, but
Let's even it out.
if you're trying to get it, maximize the efficiency because you have to, by law, meet certain standards, every little bit counts. This is the reason why,
it's like 200 pounds.
this is the reason why most modern day vehicles aren't even equipped with a spare tire. They don't have one.
Gets me.
So that means you have.
It's-
How is that not a
If-
part of the
if, like, the
regulations? You have a
temporary
spare tire.
weighs
That's
this
not a rule.
much, it's like 20 pounds for the real tire. It doesn't make any sense.
I understand it doesn't make any sense to you, but trust me, it makes a big difference. Okay?
Not really.
It does. Now here's the deal. If I'm a vehicle manufacturer and I'm trying to save room, make more room, and save weight, I'm not even going to include a spare tire anymore.
Yeah. 'cause that's-
Well, what happens if you're on the side of the road because of tire puncture?
Call insurance.
They understand that your car insurance probably has roadside assistance. You have a cell phone, so they're not worried about it. But also, if you were to buy that vehicle brand new, your tires are typically going to be the run flat tires. Okay? That's what these are. Basically what ends up happening is, hey, I'm driving on the highway, I run over a nail. That nail pierces my tire, right? Oh, that sucks. Instead of losing air like a normal tire, there's special compounds inside the tire that if that nail is removed, actually self-seal the tire up, so that way you don't have a leak. Now all of a sudden I can drive on that tire for an extended period of time without getting it repaired. But it's also the structure of the tire, the structure of the sidewall of the tire, where I can literally run on this tire at like 5 PSI, basically flat, without damaging the structure of the tire. But obviously I don't want to do that for too long, but I can do it for probably like 50 or 70 miles, which is more than enough time to be able to get to where I can get the tire repaired.
And then right on the rim.
Right? But you don't not riding on the rim because you're riding on the flat tire. But it's designed for that. Okay? So that's kind of that's how we are able to replace not having a spare tire. The problem is, and most people don't realize, what if you are running run flat tires on your car and now all of a sudden it's time to go to replace those tires? Okay? Now all of a sudden, hey, I'm looking to buy new tires. I could buy these tires where it's $250 a tire a piece. So I'm going to spend $1,000 on 4 tires. But it's the same tires that came from the factory. Or I could spend $500 for these tires over here. I get to save $500 and I get to go down the road. But these aren't run flat tires. Guess what's going to happen? More often than not, people are going to spend the less amount of money, but then they don't realize that they're not replacing it one for one.
Yeah, gas ain't cheap.
Because they're just trying to rip me off. Why is this tire so much more expensive? It very well could be due to the fact that it's designed and built to be tougher and have this in it, so that way if you run and hit a nail, you can still go, right? But you won't run into this problem unless you run over a nail and go on the side of the road and go, oh, I got a flat tire. Well, let me get the spare on because that's what I learned in Auto 1, and then you go to find out you don't have a spare. Well, time to ride on the rim.
Those are what people need.
Yeah.
To
Then you start riding on the rim, and then you realize that the tire's literally peeling itself apart. We can't repair it at that point because it's too damaged. And then all of a sudden, you're literally riding on the rim. Now your wheel rim is damaged. So now you got to buy a new one of those. You're going to be $2,000 into that. You're going to be $2,000 into that for something that you could have just spent $1,000 on.
So Getsky, so really,
for a
It's just, it's not just that, but it's also the wheel.
so
I'm just making stuff up.
well, if there's a person in a police chase and they had some spike strips, they should be fine, right?
No, those are designed to disrupt the tire.
It's gonna heal itself though.
All right, as part of our tire
The
design,
tire needs to be
right?
replaced 1,000 miles.
So here's the deal.
Allowed.
The tire manufacturer realizes that the tire is only going to last for so long. I can drive it for however long I need to. Eventually, it's going to wear out. The treads are going to, just like your tennis shoes, through friction, it's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until eventually the tread is so small that it's not going to do what it needs to do in order to create the traction on the road in conditions. Right? At that point in time, it's very dangerous to be driving around because it's going to take you longer to brake. You're not going to be able to corner things as fast.
On the left.
Just got drift.
Now, typically speaking, you would use a specific tool
A quarter.
to measure how deep your tread depth is. And that can inform you of maybe potentially when you would want to replace those treads before an accident. Right, AJ?
Yes.
What do you say?
Shh, stop. The good news is there is some built-in kind of stuff in the tire that'll kind of help you out in regards to estimating without any fancy tools. Okay, these are called wear bars. You can actually see a little bit of them right here.
You got like a tire out there so we can see it?
Yeah, and when we actually go out to the lab, you're going to be looking for these.
So it's just like basically like almost like a line in the tread.
Yes. So think about this. This is a line. So here's the valley of my tread. This is the low point of my tread. Okay. Here's the high point of my tread.
Yeah.
In the valley of the tread is a little notch, if you will. It's not very tall. But what you can do is as soon as you start to see these knobs and it's getting closer to the tread depth or the top of the tread, you're going to go, oh boy, I'm probably getting to the point where I need to start considering buying new tires.
Nah, you do it.
Or
Okay?
you can go like that, and it's.
So if you're monitoring this because you're rotating the tires at the correct interval, it shouldn't be a surprise to when you need new tires, right? I could probably look at my tires now and go, okay, probably in about 3 or 4 months, I'm probably going to need new tires.
How many miles of the tires do you have?
It depends on many, many different things. But I'm just saying, right? So now I can start saving up money over the next 3 or 4 months. Once I get enough money, bam, now I can go buy new tires. Yeah, someone also approved it.
Oh, my bad.
Also, on a side note, one thing that we can identify on our tires over a prolonged period of time is the wear pattern. How does that tread wear out? Okay? If I have steering and suspension issues, right? Or if I have issues with the tire itself because it's underinflated or overinflated, the tread is going to wear out on a particular amount. Okay? Again, think of it like your bottom of your shoes. If I'm always on my toes, right, and I'm walking around, guess what's going to wear out more frequently? The toes on my shoes. Okay? If I'm constantly walking on my heels are going to wear out more. You get the idea, okay? Same thing with my tire. Because it's making contact with the road, if I have bad suspension components, there's going to be certain parts of that tire that are going to wear out sooner than other parts. And that can tell you, hey, this is how my tire is wearing. I have a bad component because it's failing. Or I have a bad wheel alignment. I need to get that fixed before I spend $1,000 on new tires, so that way my new tires don't wear out as quickly.
So I just like, this is like random, but like on the sidewall, like you see those videos, like with a big bubble on the side of it.
Yeah.
What is that from? Just like a sidewall almost like failing, or is that like too much PSI?
There's probably
That's from like hitting a curb and then
there's
not
probably
knowing you
damage
hit
on
a
the
curb
sidewall.
and you damage your tire. That tire's junked now.
Donovan knows this probably from personal experience.
No, I work on tires all day. So.
There we go. But yeah, there's certain damages and stuff that you can get into. All right.
Are we done? AJ,
No, we're not done. We got a lot of stuff to cover. All right.
TPMS.
TPMS.
Tire pressure measuring system.
What do you want?
Monitoring. Oh, it's right in front of me. I didn't even see it.
TPMS.
Do it. I'm waiting.
Yeah, he threatened to call ICE on me.
That's crazy. That is actually what it is. Hey, they were spotted in like
Okay,
Oshkosh.
shh. Stop. We're talking about TPMS systems here.
No ring system.
All right. TPMS. Tire pressure monitoring systems. Okay? I'm not going to go into a huge, in-depth, complicated thing about TPMS sensors because this is something that we're going to spend a little bit of time in Auto 2 on if you're going to take the class. But I'll give you kind of the quick 5-minute rundown. tire pressure monitoring systems, by law, must be equipped in vehicles from the model year 2007 and newer.
Yeah, I'm
Not,
just-
not that you need to know that.
I might be a little bit too
Okay.
late for that.
But
2006.
if I have a 2007 vehicle to 2025, it is required by law to have a TPMS in it. Okay? However, just because it was by law implemented in 2007 does not mean that the vehicle manufacturer could not have equipped it prior to that, because they have and they can. Okay? My wife had a 2004 Toyota Sienna. It had a TPMS system. Okay?
Mine did, I took
So it depends,
the battery.
but it wasn't required. So it's kind of a hit or miss.
Hit or miss. I've actually never.
Hey, like that?
Yeah.
Now, what does a tire pressure monitoring system do?
Monitor the tire pressure.
You guys are so smart.
Ow.
How does it do it?
Ow.
By PSI.
It monitors the tire pressure.
It does, but how does it monitor the tire
Put the
pressure?
PSI in the
Shoot, I don't
tire.
know.
It regulates the tire pressure.
It doesn't regulate it, it just monitors it.
Okay.
So what we do is we actually,
don't-
we
don't
go out
mess with your
into the fairy woodland, we capture a couple gnomes.
What the hell are you talking about?
Listen, you take this
Fuck
little
that,
gnome.
guys, I'm actually one of them.
Shh, no, shh. Take this little gnome, you actually quickly put it in the tire and then you install the tire. And then what happens is as the tire is rolling, it's like on a hamster wheel. It's running in there, it's on a walkie-talkie, it's like, all right guys, we're at 32 PSI.
I think that's valid.
Fairyland.
That's why I'm skinny all the time.
There are
guys.
drugs in the
Cardio.
You're telling me he running 120 down the road?
That's not how TPMS systems work. However, the idea behind that is actually more closer to reality than you think. Okay?
There's just something in the
I
tire.
got 4 gnomes in each of my tires.
Or
So-
no, probably not the tire. Wait, never mind.
That red line is the tire.
Oh.
Here's my valve stem.
Yup.
So again,
How much resistance it has on the knot?
this is where I would fill up. I'm
I'm
not even gonna go there.
There's no resistance.
This is where I fill up the tire.
How does it keep there? Exact.
I wish you guys would be a little bit more mature. Just a little bit.
Wait, what happened?
Nothing happened.
Can you read what?
No. This is where you fill up the tire with air. Inside the tire, I've got a little sensor right here. This sensor is literally monitoring the tire pressure. Okay, so how does it know what the tire pressure should be? Because it's programmed to be on what's programmed in the placard. Okay,
Hold on.
so let's pretend it's 32 psi. All right. Now, the fun part about this is, as the tire pressure drops, if it reaches 25% or below that threshold, again, that's not anything you need to know for a test.
Why am I getting?
But if you drop below a certain percentage of that, okay, it's going to trigger a light on the dash. You're going to say, hey, your tire pressure in one of your tires is below 25% of what it should be. Okay. Now, some vehicles, modern day cars, are actually equipped with a little screen here where you can individually look at each tire sensor and it'll give you what that is. So you can say, oh, hey, my back rear tire is 20 psi. All the other ones are 32.
Why is there
It must be
smiley
that
face
one.
Mr. Gets
He's a
back
smiley
and rear
face.
mean the same thing.
What's that?
Back and rear mean the same thing. You said the same word
Oh,
twice.
I apologize.
It's
Okay.
okay.
Now here's the fun part about our dash lights. If this dash light stays on permanently, it's just an indication that the tire pressure is low. You probably pull into any place,
Quick trip.
right? Like Quick Trip.
Put
Put in the proper amount of pressure, right?
Okay.
And then you can drive off, and typically in about 5 to 10 miles, that light will go out because you've met the PSI rating of that tire, and it takes a little bit of time to update that.
Unless you're very cool.
Well, here's the deal. If this light on your dash is flashing, it's an indication that you are rapidly losing air pressure, most likely due to a puncture.
No.
Okay? So you don't want that to be flashing. You want it to be safe zone. Now, one thing to keep in mind,
What the battery just died and it's flashing?
okay, it very well could be the fact that maybe this sensor has gone bad too. There's a possibility because This is going to use radio signals wirelessly to send a signal up to your computer car or car computer, right? Because obviously you can't run wires through that. This sensor operates off of a battery. Guys, stop packing up. If that battery dies, it stops sending that signal. The computer doesn't receive that. It's going to say, "Hey, I got a problem." It's going to turn on the lights. If that battery dies, you got to replace the whole sensor.
On the light or flash the light?
Well, here's the fun part about this. Is it expensive?
Yes.
Yes.
No, typically not.
What? $80 ain't expensive?
So,
One sensor.
Cheap.
$80.
Guys,
not
Mr. Gatsky's budget. is
I
a
didn't
little
talk.
I ripped those
Higher
sensors
than
out.
let me explain. A typical TPMS sensor, I can buy on Amazon as a replacement for about $25.
Easy.
Here's the fun part about that particular sensor.
How about
It's not programmed. Okay?
Not
Which means, if I were to take that $25 sensor and swap it in, it's not broadcasting, oh, I should say this, it's broadcasting it, but it's not broadcasting the correct name or identification of the old sensor.
So how do you calibrate it?
So how do you calibrate? You need a $600 to $700 tool
Yes, yeah.
that allows you to take the code off of the old sensor and to program it into the new sensor. Okay?
So
Now,
basically you're paying
guys,
$800.
stop. Sit.
One more minute.
Yeah, cool. I'm not done talking. If you wanted to, you could buy pre-programmed sensors that are like $80, $120, somewhere in that range. Then you can swap that out without that $600, $7 tool. But I'm telling you, if you're going to be doing this frequently, you're going to want to make sure you get that tool. Have a good one.
You don't need to. Just find the same vehicle, go out in the parking lot real quick.